Hi, welcome to this week's Q&A. I hope you find this of interest because lots of people, once again, are really saying similar things to us. And this week, one of our viewers from the US, from Seattle actually, sent in this question. And it is, I currently have a fixed rate loan. It's expiring next month. I'm paying 4.49% interest. What should I do? Okay, pretty simple question, one would think, but you know, the answer really depends on many other factors. So you've got to ask some other questions back, and that exemplifies why, as I always say, if you do have a question that pertains to your personal situation, please get in contact because we can arrange a one-on-one Zoom consultation so you actually get an answer that's worthwhile for you. On the face of it, you know, if you have a fixed rate loan expiring next month and you're paying close to 4.5% interest, you can potentially get a much better interest rate outcome now in this current situation. But questions we have to ask first are, is this for an investment property that's producing income? I mean, it's clear that it would be for an investment property because the person's not living in Australia, but sometimes people have, you know, family members or others staying in their prior home. So we need to ascertain, first of all, is this property producing assessable income? Then another important thing would be to ask, you know, what is the loan amount? How much do you owe on this loan? What is the LVR, the loan to value ratio? Because you know, it can vary so much. You could have a $3 million house and owe $500,000 on it, or you could have a $3 million house and owe $2 million on it. So we need to figure out what might be some of the good outcomes for you, and we need to know more information to try and give the best answers for that. So if we sort of continue on that vein, then if it is an investment property and we've ascertained what LVR you have, another important question you'd have to ask yourself, and I would ask you, is, you know, do you intend repatriating to Australia in the foreseeable future? And if you do, when? So that'll narrow down some other sort of aspects we need to look at. Another important question would be, if you do return to Australia, would you want to live in this property or not? And the reason I'm asking a lot of these questions, for example, are because you know, we've got to look at, if you're going to refinance this debt, what's a good thing for you today? So if you're going to go and live in this place eventually when you return to Australia, it may influence the type of product you would want to look for. So potentially a principal and interest loan, because you do want to pay this off so that when you're living in it, you don't have this large non-tax deductible debt being your mortgage against your main residence once you return. So that's important. The other thing is you may want to, if you have the capacity to do so, structure things so you have perhaps a principal and interest variable rate loan or fixed rate loan with a variable rate loan and an offset facility. So you can actually contribute more funds into that, offsetting any interest that may be charged against that portion of the loan. Because an important thing that people fail to think about sometimes is, if you get a fixed rate interest only or principal and interest loan, you're generally limited to a small amount, $20,000 or $30,000 you can repay off the principal of that loan during the period of that, you know, that fixed rate period that you have. Now that could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it's something that you really need to think about. Do you have any other loans is another question. You know, do you have other properties and other loans? Because it's really important to construct things on a sort of more holistic basis. So you have a look at, what are you trying to achieve? You know, if you've got a good plan and you say, look, I'm going to be offshore for at least another 5 years, then potentially we can help you arrange things so that ultimately you pay off this one property that you may want to move back into and leave the others with maximum debt. So you get the best tax benefit also when you repatriate to Australia. So, you know, there's lots of things that we need to sort of try and figure out, but you need a lot more information to give yourself the best chance of, you know, getting the most efficient and optimal outcome for your future. So really important when you ask a question, and we're getting a lot of this obviously at the moment, because actually many people have fixed rate loans expiring this year, 2021. So people are asking the question because now you can get, fixed rate loans in the sort of mid 2% range. And that's something that may be very beneficial for you, not just because it's a much cheaper interest rate, but because it gives you peace of mind. So in other words, you can be confident that the amount of repayment that you're repaying now will continue for that term. And if that's 3, 4 or 5 years, that's a significant period of time. It allows you to plan some of your financial future, and you're not going to be caught out by fluctuations in interest rate markets. That's becoming even more pertinent at the moment when we have, the spectre of rising 10-year bond yields in the US and Australia, in other countries, that may or may not influence interest rates in as we see them on fixed term rates. I think that's something that's still a work in progress, and I don't think we need to become terribly concerned that we've got to fix immediately, but it's something we need to keep in mind and make sure that it fits our plans going forward. So, pretty simple question. What do I do? Easy answer. You get a better interest rate for you, but what type of product, what type of flexibility, what type of loan, and perhaps a combination of various loans if the size of the debt is large enough, then let us know, and we'll hope that you'll come up with the best outcome going forward. All the very best, and we'll see you at next week's Q&A. Please send in your questions from wherever you are around the world. Thank you.